If you could do me a favor, just look directly into the camera here. If you could say your first and last name and give me the proper spelling of both.
Rameer Green, Rameer. Green, Green, exactly like the color.
Thank you, Rameer. I appreciate you coming in. If you can describe your thoughts and emotions after watching the Whiteness Project.
I mean, watching the Whiteness Project is an exercise in I don't know, just aggravation. The reason I say that is because there's a certain cluelessness that a certain segment of the population, in particular the white population, has when it comes to people of color. And I personally don't think it's that hard to understand things. I mean, you can talk to people, you can see things, you can read things. We're in the information age. Like, it's not hard. So that's where the frustration level comes when you see these people saying, oh, well, I understand your plight because things happen to me too. I have a tattoo and I don't think that I benefit from any privilege. Well, you know what? The next time a cop pulls you over, it's probably not going to flash in your mind, is this the last time? That alone is privilege. I don't have to list the 9,000 other ways that you have privilege. So watching white people talk about things ain't that bad and I get discriminated too. I mean, it's frustrating because I don't even allow people to get that far with me in real life. You talk to me in real life, we cutting it off real quick, or it's probably going to end up in a situation verbally that you don't want to, because I'm pretty frank.
Out the Whiteness Project, what was the number one thing, the most shocking, or the most thing that, like, I can't believe that's being said? What was the number one moment for you watching that piece?
I'm not the type of person that's shocked. I mean, you know, this may sound pessimistic, but I have an expectation of how white Americans think and how they come across. So I'm more surprised when I find somebody who gets it. And let me be clear, I'm not trying to say that most or all white Americans don't get it. I think there's a good number of white Americans who get it. But watching the Whiteness Project in particular, I wasn't really shocked. Like I said, it's kind of an exercise in frustration because you know what's coming. You know, it would have been more shocking to hear more of them actually understand or more of them get it. I think there was one woman who seemed to get it when she was like, we're talking about race and there's no people of color in the room. Like, I was like, okay, she has some perspective on that. Like, you're talking about people, but you don't have any of those people around to offer their insights. Kind of tells you a lot.
What does the term nigga mean to you?
I don't use it.
Just repeat the question, Rameer. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. The term nigger, and that'll be the only time I say that word today because I don't use that word. I mean, it's obviously a term with a lot of history, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering behind it. I understand the concept and the thought that people have when they try to reclaim it, try to take the sting off of it, and I understand that certain people in my community use it, and I don't jump on them for using it. I just personally don't use it. The attachment to the things that word represents, the history of that word, how it was used against my family, my friends, my ancestors, it's I think of pain. When I hear that word, I think of pain. No matter how you use it, I just think of pain.
What's the difference? You my nigga. What's the difference between Nigger and Nigga, or is there a difference?
I mean, I think that people who use it believe that there's a difference. I think that they intend it as a difference. I am, cognizant enough to know that if I'm in my neighborhood and someone uses that term, that they're not saying it in a manner to disrespect me purposefully. They're not trying to upset me. They're trying to use it as, my homie, my brother, my peoples. I will politely tell people who use it a lot to, hey, calm that down. Respectfully, I don't want to hear that too much. Sometimes I won't say anything because if you're in a room with like 20 people and it's just flying around or whatever, and I know that they're not using it in the manner that that I understand it to be, I get it. I'm not going to cause a fight, but I mean, really? I mean, if you take any offensive word, and decide, okay, this word means orange now. The word is still the word. The word still has the history. I don't care that you're using it to describe an orange now or the color orange. The word is the word. And people who walk by and hear the word are going to think of certain things. People are going to misunderstand the word if they are not used to using it or being around that culture. Why would I invite that? I wouldn't.
Well, you like rap music, right?
I do like rap music. I love hip hop.
So if it's being thrown around in music, and it's kind of, I'm almost saying it's okay, right? Because, you know, I'm down for my niggas.
I mean, in the sensibility of being used in music, it does send messages to people. There's no question that music sends messages to people. Um, I might be square in saying this, but a lot of the music that I listen to, I get the edited version. And hopefully, they edit out the N word when they say it. A lot of times they don't. They'll edit out every word but that. But I try to get the edited version. I listen to the explicit version. Not gonna sit there and lie. Like I said, I understand the intent and the usage of the word. But I can't control what Jay-Z decides to do with his song. If there's somebody that's pretty flagrant, and I think that they're just outside of using that word, they're just doubling down and tripling down on ignorance. Like, they're just not going to get played in my car or around me or around my family. So you'll never hear Rick Ross around me. You'll never hear Fetty Wap around me. You'll never hear 2 Chainz around me. I'll put on a Tribe Called Quest album in a second. And I know they have a famous song called Sucker N-Word. I get it. I understand.
That's great, man. That's a different perspective. Back to you, Pete.
If you can explain to me, there are some white people that are afraid of black people. Do you believe that? And tell me why.
Oh, there's definitely white people that are afraid of black people. There's white people that are afraid of me. There's white people that will see this that will be like, I know Rameer, and he ain't one to be messed with. And to some degree, I'll be completely honest, I'm glad you're afraid. Not that I'm going to do anything to you. I mean, I'm a grown man, I'm a professional. But the fear that some white people have in regards to me is, don't mess with me on that level on a racial tip. Just don't, because I'm not going to be one to take it. Now, the overall question, white people being afraid of black people, I mean, that's a sociological conditioning that has gone on in this country forever, since the country was basically brought in to existence. I mean, basically, white Americans, not just white Americans, but I mean, that's what we're focusing on here. White Americans fear anything that does not look like them or kind of fit in with white privilege and white supremacy. And they're taught that. They don't come out of the womb just thinking that. They're taught that. They go to school and they hear that in some type of fashion. They turn on the news, they hear that some type of fashion. They read a book, they watch a movie, they listen to music. They're completely conditioned to think that we are a danger to them, regardless of if they've ever experienced that danger or not. And not being around a diverse population, which a lot of white people aren't, why do they have any reason to think differently if they have not been taught differently and they have not been shown differently? I'm not giving them a pass for that, but I understand it. I have been in a position where in life I've been around people who have never been around black people, Latino people, Asian people. They've just been around white people, or if they've been around people of color, it's just been, oh, well, here's one that's in the bar. Here's a guy that's in class. I know he's in class. But when you're around me, you got to be around me. There is no skirting around me. You're going to know me. And when you get to know me, you'll find out some things. And finding out those things, I think I don't know that I'm a walking teachable moment, but I think that you find out just by being around me or any person of color, actually talking to them, actually interacting with them, you find out, you know what? Not that different. Yeah, there are cultural differences, but not that different. I don't have a reason to cross the street just because a black person is doing that. But I mean, you watch CSI or Law and Order, there's a lot of scary black men out there.
Are you afraid of white people? If not, what settings will have you afraid of white people?
I'm not afraid of white people. This is going to sound arrogant, but I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm not afraid of no white people. I'm not afraid of no black people. I'm not afraid of anybody. But I'm also not stupid. Meaning, so I understand if I walk into a bar and they're playing some really honky tonk music with Confederate flags, and when I walk in, everyone turns around and looks at me, and it feels like the record skips. Maybe that's not the place for me. If there ain't nobody around me, why put myself in that situation? I don't think that's being fearful. That's just being smart. But afraid of white people? I mean, no. I can understand why some people are though. Specifically, law enforcement. If you're a white person with a badge and a gun, based on the climate in recent history, in terms of an awareness about what's going on. And let's be clear, this isn't a new thing. A lot of people think it's new. It's been going on since my grandparents were children. It's just chronicled easier now. But I can understand why people would be scared of certain white people. I don't personally believe that most black people, most people of color, are scared of white people. I don't get that. I'm not going to say that I'm an expert, but I know a lot of people. I don't get the impression that people are scared. I think people tend to exhibit fear towards law enforcement.
All right, we're gonna switch towards current events a little bit. Let me ask a quick question. You're driving in the suburbs, right? Amherst, Cheektowaga. You're in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Police is behind you. The lights go off. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking.
Repeat the question. I'm sorry, man.
If I'm driving in the suburbs and lights come on behind me, and I haven't done anything that I think warrants, being pulled over by a cop. I haven't been speeding. There's nothing wrong with my car. There's nothing that would indicate why you should pull me over. First thing I'm thinking is, this could be it. I mean, I do. There's just no other way to put that. Every single time, I think this could be it. That has nothing to do with recent videos or whatever. I've thought that since I learned how to drive at 13. I legally drove at 16. I've thought that since I've been driving, period. Since I had a license, since I had a permit, I've thought that. Because I know. I don't know just from the news. I don't know just from reading things. I know from people that I personally know what can happen. I know that. So, first thing I think of is, man, this could be it. Is this how I'm going to go out? Like this? Doing nothing but minding my own business? Second thing I think is I need to document this. I need to do something. And I have measures that I take to document it. And the third thing I think is, well, if this is going to be it, if this is how I'm going out, I'm going to do that where there's witnesses. So when you pull me over, you're not going to pull me over isolated in some dark street or something like that. Let's go to this gas station that has people in it with a lot of lights and some cameras. Talk to me there. Doesn't mean you ain't going to get me. But hey, at least somebody will see it.
So they pulling you over. You keep driving. You're going to drive what if the gas station is 2-3 miles out? Then what?
I'm going somewhere where there's light. If I'm going to get in trouble, I'm looking at this. I can't look at it like, oh, geez, man, and there's nothing around. I'm looking at this like this could be my life. If this is my life, then I need to do even the smallest thing to make sure that my life is okay. So if that means that the cop needs to follow me for 2 miles and needs to be mad and I need to spend the night in the cell, all right, this is my life. I don't trust any officer to pull me over isolated in the dark alone and then get into a he said or she said situation. Because we all know how that's going to end up if I run into the wrong person. Oh, he reached. Of course I reached. That's what we do. We reach.
You talked a little bit about, white privilege.
I want to stay on this, though.
Okay.
Let me do one more thing
Right,
before we switch our gears. Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, Trayvon, Freddie Gray, Sandra Bland. I mean, the list goes on and on. Talk to me about that. How does that make you feel every time you turn on the TV, you go on the internet? No one is really being convicted. Some of the situations you're describing is actually happened. Talk to me about that in your own words.
I mean, as an aware black man, I need to say that as an aware black man, because everybody ain't aware. no matter what your race is. But as an aware black man who keeps up with things, I mean, it's disheartening. It makes me angry. You know, I think, I'm paraphrasing, I think it was James Baldwin who said something to the effect of, if you are a conscious, you know, black American, you're always in a state of rage. I think that's true to some degree. I think if you are conscious of what's going on, you're always angry. And seeing people that look like me killed, and then by the time it ends, they are somehow responsible for their death, no matter the situation, is ridiculous. It's frustrating. It makes you angry. It makes you, you know, look at people a certain way because you know you may have friends or coworkers or colleagues who sit there and go along with the justification. You know, hey, Tamir Rice shouldn't have been playing with that toy gun. Oh, but your kid has a toy gun. What would we be saying if the cops rolled up on your kid and shot your kid? Didn't give him a chance, just within 1 second, jumped out the car, bang. What would you say? Oh, that would be messed up, right? But it's not messed up with Tamir. Tamir don't look like your kid. It's a little different. His name is Tamir. It's not Elliot. So it's frustrating. But at the same time, and this is going to be really messed up for me to say, I expect it. I know it. I knew it was happening. Listen, when I was a kid in grammar school, I come from an area that's known as the Bailey Delavan area. And in that area, we used to have, there's these train tracks that are somewhat near. Not right there, but they're somewhat near the old Thruway Mall. When I was a kid, the cops used to come and randomly pick up black men, take them out by the train tracks, beat their butt, and then just leave them there. You had to make your way back to the east side. That happened all the time. Like, there was jokes that went on about not getting caught by the cops. Like, who didn't get caught? I was one of them people that, you know, when I got a little older, when I saw the cops, I just ran. If I was chilling in the day with my friends and the cops came up, we know he wasn't doing anything. We see them, we out. We hitting the fence. Out. Catch me if you can. We know if you catch us, what's happening. Somebody getting roughed up for no reason. When I tell people that, people act like I'm making something up. Like this is like I came up with, like I watched some movie and I was just like, yo, this is a good story. I went to a white high school. I used to tell the white kids that. And they, I'm sure you're exaggerating. You must have been doing something. Why are you hanging on the corner? It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We chilling. Why are you hanging on the corner, skateboarding and hacky sacking? Ain't nobody coming up on y'all, right? But us, we had to be doing something, right? We had to be given some indication of criminality.
Excellent. I'm gonna excuse myself. Just wrap up in like 2 minutes. Closing statement.
Two questions here, Rameer. There was a New York Times magazine cover, had a picture from the 1960s, had a scribble out and said 2015.
Okay.
Do you think anything has changed since the civil rights movement all the way up until 2016?
I mean, yeah, there's some things that have changed, but if we're talking about the way that people of color are viewed and treated on a large scale, a lot of similarities, a lot of parallels. Really no difference, in my opinion, in treatment with law enforcement or how we're viewed. We're still a threat, regardless if we do anything or not. You know, I think what's changed is sad to say. You know, there's a large black middle class now, and there's a large number of people of color who have gotten decent money. You know, I know they don't like to tell you that, but I mean, you know, you can look at the stats, you can look at the census, you can look at it and say, okay, there's a good amount of people of color now. Not as much as we would like. There's a good amount of people of color now who have education, who have, you know, at least middle class jobs. And I think what that has done is that has tricked some people of all colors. It makes them think, well, you know, because these people have money and things, that things are okay. There's nothing wrong. You know, if you complain about things, I mean, what are you complaining about? You know, you got a job, you got an education. Couldn't do that before, right? I'm not doing anything to you. I'm not oppressing you. Okay. I mean, the blood on the street speaks for itself. I mean, it just is what it is. If I have to, every week, every single week, there's not a week that has passed in probably 3 years, because I'm a very aware person, I keep up with these things, where somebody of color has had some type of horrible run-in with the law at some place in this country. And I'm not talking about the criminals. The criminals, if you do something criminal and the cops have to get you, then fine. I'm talking about people that was like, hey, we went over to a party and then we got roughed up.
Hold on, Rameer. Black people kill people all the time.
Ugh. I can't stand those respectability Negroes, that's my term, who love to throw in the what about black on black crime thing. What about white on white crime? the stats is the same. The same amount of white people kill white people that kill black people. But you want to use the fact that black people kill each other to justify what law enforcement does? Listen, black people shouldn't be killing each other. We know this. It's distressing. It's upsetting. There are conditions and there are reasons for why people kill people. But black people kill people because black people are around black people. Every ethnicity, every race, every background in this country kills each other because that's who they have access to. That's who they are around. When they are shooting up schools and theaters and they are mass murdering people at post offices, I don't hear, what about white on white crime? When they shot that little white kid he was driving down the street and the cop flashed him and he flashed the cop back. Cop pulled him over, shot him face down on the ground in the back. This is on camera. I didn't hear the what about white on white crime thing to justify that dude getting shot in the back. When they shot the white kid for the weed in the parking lot, that's also on camera. What about white on white crime? I don't hear it. So I don't want to hear it when Officer McGillicuddy rolls up on someone who looks like me in New York, LA, Memphis, Miami, wherever you go, decides that he didn't have a bad day and takes it out and one of us winds up dead. I don't want to hear, you mad about that? What about black on black crime? Is you out of your mind?
Last question here.
That was great.
Last question,
I want to
Rameer.
talk about Dylan Roof, I think. You want to touch on that? Because we don't really hear about how he shut up the churches. I feel like that's not really in main media.
Well, let's do it. Last one. Last one.
one.
Last one.
I got one too.
No.
Sure. All right. Go ahead, Rameer. Talk about the Dylan Roof shoot. It's kind of parallel what you're saying, but just do it in your own words.
Dylan Roof shooting up a church full of black people. My gosh. You know, that is the most swept under the rug thing. And I don't mean swept under the rug like it wasn't talked about. Oh, it was in the media. And we talked about it. But I mean, if a Muslim American right now walked into an airport and had a shank on them and got caught, I think that the country would be talking about it and have more, I don't know, for lack of a better term, peril about, oh my gosh, these scary Muslim people, look at what they're trying to do, than they did about this guy who walked in and said, I want to kill black people. I wanted to kill black people. I wanted to start a race war. This dude said this. And people was just like, well, you know, we got to deal with mental instability. We've got these issues with people who have just these mental issues. Wait, when this dude goes in, they have pictures of this man with swastikas and guns. They have a whole history of this man's attitude and what his intentions was. But when white people do something on a large, horrific scale, it's just a lone mental instability issue? I mean, do we even, on a large scale, I know a lot of people know, but do we even know who the people were who got killed? Do we talk about those people? Are they constantly brought up in pictures like other people who are killed, like Sandy Hook? They were just black people. That's how I feel. I feel when we die that they were just. That's the impression that I get. I feel like Dylan Roof is just, he should be exhibit A of terrorism. Because the average terrorist is a white male. In this country. It's not ISIS. It's a white male. That's not me making that up. That's the government telling you who fits the profile of a terrorist, a white male. Nobody talks about Dylan Roof. You bringing up Dylan Roof, let me tell you something. You bringing up Dylan Roof is the first time I've heard that name in 3 months. And the only time I heard it prior to that was because of an aware person of color saying, how come we don't talk about Dylan Roof? You know why we don't talk about Dylan Roof? Because the people that died were expendable and that they don't matter. It was messed up and it was the work of a lone wolf. He was a mental case. A lot of mental cases popping up.